you. Thanks, Nick. Okay, is everybody ready to roll? Ready. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay, great. We're ready to go, Nick. You let me know. All set? Great. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting, kind of our first meeting back for the school year, although we never really left, but we're going to count this as our first meeting back. So just real quick housekeeping. The Open Public Meeting Statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School Districts of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Township, the Chatham Borough, the Library of the Chathams, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP. Peter, would you mind taking attendance? Oh, hanging on. You want me to read it again? No. Hello, Mr. Heap.
1, 2.
3,
1, 2.
3, 4.
It's just real low.
No, we're not playing that game.
Real low. 1, 2.
Buckle my shoe.
3, 4.
Shut the door.
5, 6.
Pick up sticks.
Okay, I think.
Ms. Ross?
Here.
Mr. Ryan? Mr. Smith?
Here.
Dr. Zhang?
Here.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
President accounted for.
Excellent. If you're able to, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind Dr. LaSousa. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. So, other than the initial welcome, I don't have any additional comments right now. I will have some additional comments at the end of Dr. LaSousa's report regarding litigation. But without further ado, I'd like to send it over to Dr. LaSousa for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. I'll just kind of run through the list here. Obviously, we're at the start of the school year. Our 10-month staff, including all teaching staff, were in today for meetings and preparation and training, and today went well. I was at all of the buildings at various points, and I think it's safe to say that our staff is excited and really feeling energized by what has been a more typical beginning of the school year than the last couple that we've experienced. So today went well. We're looking forward to welcoming all the students on Thursday, and all of our classrooms and facilities are just about ready to rock for the students when they join us Thursday morning. In terms of actual opening, of course, the first order of business for us always is trying to become fully staffed by the time the school year begins. There's always turnover at the end of a school year, and then throughout the summer, typically we experience some more turnover. So Ms. Grant and her team have been working very hard with the principals and supervisors and others to try to secure staff. We are pretty much all set with teaching staff, with the exception of a couple of leave replacement positions. We do have some teaching staff that will not begin until their 60-day provision to their current school districts expires. So we're in the middle of kind of planning their transition into the district. Our most significant challenge has been with paraprofessional staff for a variety of reasons. Part of it is just the structural nature of our collective bargaining agreement. Part of it is that the number of graduates of teacher preparation programs at colleges and universities has declined. So the pipeline is not as strong as it was for prospective teachers or aspiring teachers. So right now we're still working on trying to secure paraprofessional staff. The agenda reflects that, as you will see. Our enrollment is, as of this afternoon, 3,611 students. I alluded to this in the letter that I sent out to parents, but if you go back to our demographic report from 2018 and you get into the birth rate data, about 18 years ago, the average number of births in the Chathams was 300 per year. By 2010, it had become about 200, and 2016, 2015, which is those are the most recent years we have in the demographic report, we were down at 160. So basically, those birth rates, that decline in birth rates, now we're seeing that as those students enter the school who were born in 2016, 2015, 2017. So enrollment is declining as a result, or primarily as a result of that. But that gives us opportunities, and we can look at our staffing or our facilities in different ways, and we'll talk more about that at upcoming meetings, including in September. We do have to administer the Start Strong assessment again. We were told a year ago it would be a one-time occurrence, and it was just a snapshot in time for students kind of returning from being out of school during the pandemic, even though our students were largely in school. We weren't notified until June that we needed to administer the Start Strong this school year, and we have to do it between August 31st and September 29th, I think. So we do have that ready to go at our buildings, and the agenda also reflects a slight modification in the school calendar so that we can have a couple of delayed opening days at the high school for the administration of Start Strong. Safety and security-wise, as you all know, we are transitioning to having police presence in each of our school buildings. We really kind of have been doing this over the course of many years. In 2018, I think, is when we introduced Class 3 officers in our schools. And we left off last year with SLEO positioned at Lafayette Middle School and High School. The middle school officer, who was terrific, he retired. So we're now in the process of replacing his position and filling out the remaining schools that did not have Class 3 resource officers before now. And we're working with the police chiefs as fast as we can to get those folks in place. And we anticipate that, or we're hopeful anyway, that we'll have a Class 3 officer at each school in short order. I have a couple of agenda items here regarding our administrative organization. The short of that really is that this year we're transitioning in leadership at the high school, as you all know. We're working on some projects at the middle school, including a new master schedule for the first time. And I think it would be wise to repurpose one of our positions that's been district-wide. That's a director position that Sean Devine occupies currently, and transfer or move that position into one that is an assistant principal role so that Sean can focus his attention at the high school and middle school as we're transitioning this year. So that is reflected in the agenda, as well as some title cleanup, because our organizational chart is a little bit out of date, and there are a couple of positions that we no longer have, a couple of positions that we've added, and some titles that we want to clean up. And then the last bullet for me is that we, of course, are still contending with a federal lawsuit, Hills and Rath versus School District of the Chathams. We had, the Board of Education School District had one on summary judgment a year ago or so, I think, or maybe 2 years ago, lose track now. But in light of the Supreme Court decision, Kennedy versus Bremerton, or Bremerton versus Kennedy, the appeals court has remanded the case back to the district court because the basis for the summary judgment was something called the Lemon Test, which has been an analysis used to determine if there is an establishment violation of the First Amendment. But the Supreme Court threw that test out and inserted a new test, and so the litigation is heading back to the court where the summary judgment occurred to analyze the case according to that analysis. And I think that is pretty much it. Fall sports also began today. I'll just add that. So now we're completely up and running with fall sports despite the weather today. And again, we're kind of off to the races here for the balance of this week, opening the school year officially.
Thanks, Mike. I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the case, the Hills and Rath versus School District. If you look around the table, probably half of the board members weren't here at the time. So I would just like to take the opportunity I spoke to our attorney, Ruby, about the recent news article, and I just wanted to maybe rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about the history of the case. Again, it started in early 2018, so 5 years ago. Chatham Borough, Libby Hilsenrath, sued the school district of Chatham on behalf of her then 12-year-old son, who was in the 7th grade World Culture and History class. World Culture and Geography class. So Libby Hilsenrath alleged that the 7th grade social studies curriculum was, and I quote, a direct call for students to convert to Islam, which, at the time we thought, well, gosh, I can't get a 7th grader to make their bed on a consistent basis. I can't imagine that the teachers, through a 40-minute lesson and a worksheet, were able to convert them, but so be it. We, of course, denied these allegations that the teachers were not trying to convert or indoctrinate anybody. And in fact, the New Jersey state standards require that by the end of 8th grade, all students are exposed to and learn about all the world's major religions. So, excuse me, the school board had their attorneys representing the district and all the named defendants. They named teachers, they named administrators, assistant superintendent at the time. And to date, it's close to, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, we're approaching $100,000, $80,000, $90,000 of residents paying for that lawsuit. Libby Hilsenrath, on the other hand, is not paying a dime because she's represented by the Thomas More Law Center out in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at no cost to her. So our insurance company has paid out a little over $2 million, and of course, the Thomas More Law Center has also incurred similar expenses. But they do it because they can use cases like this. If you recall, back in 2019, they use it as a fundraising mechanism. Oh my gosh, School District of Chatham is indoctrinating kids into Islam. They're on their website, it says they're the sword and shield of the Christian faith, and that's what caused the firestorm here in Chatham. Folks from that area near Ann Arbor, Michigan, that attention and that national attention that the case received created a firestorm here, and we received a tremendous amount of negative attention that came in the form of death threats, bodily harm to our administration, threats against the physical building, threats to burn the building down. The school district also, and if I say the school district, I really mean the residents of Chatham Township and Chatham Borough, because it came right out of their pockets, had to pay for extra security. We had to involve local, county, state, and at one point federal law enforcement agencies to deal with some of the more credible threats. Again, and this type of negative attention is never good for our students, our staff, our local businesses, and certainly not our property values. So Libby Hilsenrath's lawsuit, it was assigned to Judge Kevin McNulty in the district court in Newark, so federal district court. And after 2 years of depositions and meetings and pre-meetings and motions and legal machinations, both sides submitted their request for summary judgment. The school district of Chatham requested that to say, based on all the evidence, there's not enough to go on to trial, please dismiss it. Libby Hilsenrath's team said, no, there's plenty to go on. We would like this to proceed to trial. So they both submitted their legal arguments in the form of a summary judgments based on established case law. And as Dr. LaSousa mentioned, up until very recently, the Lemon test, or a 1971 case, Lemon versus Kutzman, that was the holy grail on how to analyze Establishment Clause violations. So if you hang on to that for a little bit, because that has since become not the gold standard. But Judge McNulty did his analysis based on the Lemon test, and then he awarded in favor of the school district, and he granted our motion for summary judgment and denied Mrs. Hilsenrath's with prejudice, which means she couldn't sue us again for that, but of course she can appeal. In fact, if I could just take one sentence or two sentences, Judge McNulty wrote a 30-page opinion, but he said, I'm acutely aware that this is a public, not parochial education. Religion, however, is a fact about world, and no study of geography and cultures is complete without it. So the judge ruled that the teachers did nothing wrong, there was no coercion, and there was certainly no attempt to indoctrinate anybody. In fact, when we submit the paperwork for summary judgment, and I checked with our attorneys, this is not violating anything, it's all out on the internet for all to see. We also submit the depositions and the questions and the answers, and in fact, during depositions, Libby Hilsenrath's son explicitly said his First Amendment rights were not violated, and he did not feel in any way that he was indoctrinated or coerced or was negatively impacted by the 40-minute lesson and the worksheet. So, the young man that this was a case of, and he was in high school at that time, he said his rights were not violated. So in spite of her now high school son saying his rights were not violated. Libby did not accept Judge McNulty's opinion, and she opted to appeal the case, and then it goes up to the Third Circuit, which Mike just mentioned. So for 2 more years, the lawyers are getting paid, they're doing their thing, they're preparing arguments, they're presenting, to the Third Circuit, and while this is all going on, Coach Joe Kennedy out in the state of California was fired from his coaching job for praying midfield. Now, while our case is going on in the Third Circuit, the Supreme Court is ruling on Coach Joe Kennedy's case, Kennedy versus Bremerton School District, and the Supreme Court ruled that Joe Kennedy can pray midfield and that he was wrongfully terminated and that he had to be given his position back. So based on that Supreme Court ruling, the Third Circuit in our case said, you know what, lemon test, we're not going to use that anymore. We're going to go forward with different case law, specifically Kennedy versus Bremerton. This case is going to be sent back to Judge McNulty or somebody that may take his place if he's no longer sitting the bench in this particular area. So now it goes back to goes back to Judge McNulty, and they reopen the case, so we're going to not start from the beginning again, so we don't have to redo depositions, but our attorneys have to go back and, create another argument and a case law and present before the McNulty one more time, present their case. And when I spoke to our attorney, I had asked her, can this case be dropped? And she said, yeah, Libby Hilsenrath can drop it at any time. And then I specifically said, can the Thomas More Law Center continue on? Because, of course, they want to do it for the press. They want to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. So they'll appeal it as many times as they can just for the attention. And our attorney explicitly said, no, the Thomas More Law Center cannot go it alone. They have to do it with her, on her behalf and with her say-so and with her encouragement. So, based on the Kennedy-Bremerton case, our opinion, I think, is that if Coach Joe can pray midfield, our teachers can certainly teach the New Jersey State Standards in 7th grade and continue to teach, all the world's religions. So we're going to have to just now sit tight a little bit. It's very disheartening. Mrs. Hilsenrath can drop this at any time. Her student is no longer in school. He's on his way to adulthood. He's not in 7th grade. He's not in the school district. He's graduated. So the real losers here, I guess, are, the residents, the teachers, the local businesses that are going to continue to pay. And I hope that it doesn't, firestorm again. But again, we can't control what somebody in Ann Arbor, Michigan is going to do. And certainly our students and our teachers. Our teachers work extremely hard every single day. They create a very safe space for students to learn and engage in meaningful dialogue and discussions, and it provides them an opportunity, as in this case, to expose them to material that we're otherwise not familiar with. So our teachers and our educators in the school district of Chatham, it's why Chatham is such an amazing place to raise a family, and the board will continue to support our teachers wholeheartedly in this case and similar cases as they do their jobs to teach the New Jersey standards. So I know that was a long dissertation. I just wanted to make sure everybody on the board was kind of rowing in the same direction with the same pieces of information. Everything I said is all public information. You can Google it if you want to read the hundreds and thousands of pages of depositions. It's out there. But let me pause. Did anybody have any questions?
Did Ruby, our attorney, give any indication as to how long this litigation could go on?
Yes, thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. She did. I asked that as well, and she said it really can go on indefinitely. Unless Libby drops it, the Thomas More Law Center will continue to appeal each decision. So if McNulty has a similar decision, she will appeal that. And then if the Third Circuit has a similar opinion, they'll appeal that, and they'll keep going because, again, it's for publicity. I don't know that it's a win-loss for them. It's a fundraising opportunity, and it's an opportunity to get to the Supreme Court to then present their case. So, she thinks this phase could go on 2 or 3 years, but it could go on indefinitely if we continue in this cycle.
I have a question, I guess, for Peter or for you, Jill, or Mike. So it's my understanding that we've hit our capacity where our insurance now picks up the extraneous costs related to this lawsuit. Is that the case in terms of taxpayer impact? Granted, our insurance premiums could go up as a result. And Peter, I would like to ask you, and I'm not asking, I know you have a lot on your plate right now in terms of opening school and whatnot, but you know, if you can come up with, have we seen an increase in our insurance premium for the district as a result of this lawsuit? I know you gave us a report about a year ago about what the cost was to the taxpayers in terms of out-of-pocket costs, you know, from the operating budget that we had to pay. So to your knowledge, are we, and you don't have to answer if you don't have that.
I haven't updated it since approximately a year ago. I'll go back and update it.
Okay, so could
to
you
see
let
how
us
much
know?
we paid in the last year, and obviously as to, you know, any expenses that have come from the attorney.
Yeah, I would think a $2 million hit on our insurance is not going to be, you know, unnoticed, but maybe. And then, you know, I think people listening at home need to be really mindful to think, we are strapped. We need paraprofessionals. We need to be able to pay our substitutes. And this is real money, you know, and this was money that we had and that we had to use to pay for this lawsuit before we hit our insurance. And we don't get that money back. And it's your money. And these are all of our kids that deserve to have, you know, the right people and services in place. So this does have a hit.
Any other questions? Nope. Excellent. Okay, great. So we're up to speed on that. Hopefully that will go away soon. Dr. LaSousa, did you have anything else, or did you want to add anything to that?
Not to that, but I did neglect understaffing, since it's sort of indirect staffing, that I've also been in communication with Work Family Connection. Just met with them on Thursday, actually. So they're in a similar position as we are in with regard to staffing. The paraprofessional pool that we draw from is oftentimes the same one that they draw from. And even though Work Family is returning, I think, just about all their staff that was on site here last year, you all will remember that last year and the year before, Work Family had a dramatic drop in enrollment, probably because so many folks were working from home and there wasn't the same level of need for before and after care. So they had less staff here last year than they have, you know, typically had, only because there wasn't as much demand. And now this year, you know, things are kicking back up. So they do have folks on wait lists. They're in the process of hiring more people, just like we're working on paraprofessionals. Ms. Grant has been working with them to try to encourage some of our folks to maybe take on an additional duty before or after school. But we are aware of the fact that there are some families waitlisted at the various sites in the district, and that they are working as hard as they can. Their objective is to accommodate every family who wants the service before and after school. They just aren't quite at the point where they can open up sections in all the locations that they need.
Okay. Okay, great. So the moral of that story is, if you know anybody that wants to be a paraprofessional or work in Work Family, again, you could do mornings, you could do afternoons. So if you know anybody, in-laws, cousins, nephews, nieces, please have them check the website. Ms. Grant is the head of Human Resources, so please, if you know anybody, particularly in the paraprofessional space and substitute space, in that order, that's where we're most in need of folks. So anybody you know, please encourage them to go online and submit an application and reach out to Beth Grant's team. Any questions for Dr. LaSousa on any of that? Nope. Okay, excellent. Very good. Thank you. Peter, over to you for business.
Sure. One housekeeping item, the 3 incumbents on the school board that are up for elections, Susan Ross, Dr. Zhang, and Chris Del Sandro will be running unopposed. Chris obviously unopposed in the borough, and Ms. Ross, or Susan, and Xinglu unopposed in the township. So congratulations, or hopefully you beat out the write-in candidates. On the construction update, both sections of the middle school, the front of the building and the 160s, 170s wings, the roofs were completed last week, so all the roofers are gone. So that's all taken care of. In the CMS kitchen, the new serving line and serving equipment has been installed. Is being tested today and will be ready for Thursday when the kids come back to school. So what the students will see has been revamped and a lot neater and cleaner, and
Nice.
should hopefully be much more appealing. And
What about the high school nurses room? Oh, sorry, I thought you paused. I apologize.
For Lafayette, the roof is almost completed due to today's and tomorrow's potential weather. If they are not completed by Wednesday, they will shift all their work to after-school hours to get the job done. At the high school, the nurse's office, the construction is now complete. The custodians, with the help of the nurse, reassembled all of the rooms, so that's ready to go. The biggest issue we have is for the CHS B-Wing Univents. The Univent delivery was delayed into September, so the contractor has done everything possible to make for an easy installation after hours when the Univents come.
Which
And
building?
there are-
I'm sorry, Peter, I couldn't hear.
Oh, and the
High school.
Univents were delayed until, the delivery is delayed until the middle to end of September,
High school?
the high school Univents. The contractor has done everything possible to make the installation of them easy for night projects, and the temporary cooling units will be getting installed in the classrooms on Wednesday, so that they, because we knew that once we came back to school, it would be 90 degrees.
Right.
So that the teachers and students can be comfortable and hopefully promote a positive learning environment in the 9 classrooms.
Okay, great.
And that's all I had, unless anybody has any questions.
Just the Lafayette roof, I go nuts when there's contractors there, when the kids are there.
Right, they know it, and this is the same contractor that did
Okay.
the high school roof on the front of the building last year, so he's familiar with the second shift, and his goal was to get it all done.
Okay.
I think the loss of, he had a lot of good weather to start.
So it won't go too far into September?
No, he may only go about a week and a half tops.
Okay,
And-
but in the afternoon shift, after
It-
students leave
definitely
campus?
Afternoon or Saturday, Sundays, so we can
Okay.
have clear sailing.
Yeah, just remind them we don't want contractors on campus when
Not-
kids are there.
You already know. The other thing to note, at the high school, thanks to the gracious donation from the high school PTO, the patio was installed in the back.
Nice.
The lunch tables have been set up. According to Principal Walker, they're going to use it for lunch, instructional space, other meeting purposes, I guess de-stressing, so
Perfect.
the sky's the limit, and it looks really nice.
It's a nice space. Excellent. Perfect, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Peter on any of those projects? Or any other projects? And did you mention the track?
I didn't since it was done, but thank you. The track was completed ahead of schedule and reopened on Thursday, August 4th, ahead of the football season. The accolades are that it feels nice and cushiony, and it looks great. The one thing that we were finally able to order today is a pad for the walkover, because the contractor reminded us that the new track could easily be damaged by the constant flow of cleats going back and forth from football players, soccer players.
Right.
So right now, there's plywood down, but we'll be getting an official-looking pad
Oh,
that
nice.
we'll remove after the fall season, put back in the spring season, and it will come on and off so it does not interfere with spring track.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, it looks great. It looks really great, and it's nice and squishy. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions for Peter? No, moving over, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, moving over to committee reports. We're going to start with personnel. Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Are you doing the
Are you
report?
ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay. We met
Oh,
last.
Susan, you're doing it for
Yeah,
Michelle.
we met last Wednesday, the 17th. We basically discussed any staffing issues that we have moving into the school year, shortages, and as previously mentioned, the lack of paras and subs. So once again, if anybody knows anybody, we are desperately looking for paraprofessionals and substitute teachers. So please spread the word, and that's kind of all we discussed.
Yeah, okay, great.
Not
Excellent.
sure when we're meeting again.
Any questions for Ann?
9:14?
Any
Okay.
long breaks at college that kids might want to fill in and be substitutes? Curriculum is Clark, but Susan, you're going to do curriculum?
Curriculum committee also met last Wednesday, and we spent can you hear me?
Now we can.
Sorry. The curriculum committee also met last Wednesday, and we spent the majority of the meeting looking at the updated curriculum documents that have been posted to the district's website. If you haven't had a chance to view them yet, it's truly an impressive collection. There's over 1,700 pages of curriculum available across all subjects from kindergarten to 12th grade. And, we would just like to thank all the supervisors and teachers who put in a tremendous effort to updating these documents and making them available. Each document covers what standards are being taught, what the students are expected to learn at the end of each unit, and what resources that the teachers might use in the classrooms. And we think these, having these available will hopefully help the parents understand what's being taught in units where there's been many questions at the past few board meetings, such as the health and phys ed updated standards. And our committee also met with Dr. Donahue, who walked us through how the district is going to handle the transition to the new health and PE standards for the 22-23 school year. There was a separate letter that went out, but in addition to being able to review the curriculum documents, parents are also going to receive the scripted video lessons about a week before they're going to be shown in the classrooms, so that they can make an educated decision about whether they want their child to be in the lesson or to opt out. Along with the video, there will be a Google form that parents can fill out if they would like their child to opt out. And I think that, you know, as the board believes that the more transparency and this proactive approach should help alleviate a lot of the concerns that have arisen coming from the updated New Jersey state standards for health and PE. And finally, if you want to have more information and explore the content of the new standards, there's going to be an option for a webinar later this fall that's going to be facilitated by an organization at Rutgers. And once the details of those are available, they're going to be sent out. So, thanks.
Excellent, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Susan? Yeah, thank you, Dr. Donahue and your team. They did a fantastic job. While we looked at it for the health, it's for all the courses,
Correct.
all the curriculum. And
Yes.
it's nice, you could see the whole outline, and the learning objectives then map exactly to the New Jersey state standards. So again, as we said about 100 times, the standards are set by the state, but then the curriculum and the learning objectives map back to the standards. So the curriculum is our secret sauce here in Chatham, and it maps back to some standard that the state set. But the profiles, which are really outlines of all the courses, you know, social studies, English, science, they're all written in a similar manner so you can follow across, and they're very interesting. And if you want to see the objective of a particular unit and the resources that a teacher may use, it's actually quite fascinating. Typically after back to school night, parents are like, I want to take that class. So this will give you a little bit more information about what the students are learning and, you know, where they're going to progress to beyond that unit and beyond that year as well. So if you want to follow it all the way through K to 12, you can, you know, a day in the life and a year in life and a decade in the life of a student here in Chatham. So thank you, Susan. Appreciate that update. Go, sure, absolutely.
For Dr. Donahue, so when we're talking about the scripted lessons, I just want to remind everyone, we're just talking about the health and PE lessons as they relate to sexual health and well-being. It's not every health lesson throughout the course of the year.
Correct.
And the opt-out, Mike, is only for two things. You can opt out of a health lesson and dissection of an animal. Is that correct? Okay, so, and the other thing I want to comment, because I did take a look at all the curriculum profiles, and they're amazing, and I do have a background in education. I want to remind us that, you know, we have highly trained teachers here in Chatham. Most of our teachers have secondary degrees and go beyond that, you know, past getting a master's plus whatever. And so it's what they bring to that curriculum that really enlightens our students. And, you know, I'm encouraging everyone to start this year and recognize that our teachers are here for the betterment of our kids, and they're here to make our students stronger, inquisitive, smart, capable students. And I don't believe that any teacher is here to do any harm. So I think we need to kind of reset ourselves, be ready to open this school year, and look at the curriculum, take a look at the lessons that you're not comfortable with, opt out if you don't want to take those health lessons. But I feel like we've done our part as a board, and certainly our curriculum and leadership team have done their part as well to make it as transparent as possible, as Susan said. So if you are not comfortable, please opt out.
Any questions for anybody on curriculum? Michelle, who's the chair of curriculum? Nope, all good? Excellent. We're going to move over to finance and facility. Mr. Smith.
I can do actually policy also. Neither finance and facilities or policy have met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is on September the 7th.
Okay, perfect. And that was policy as well?
Policy as well.
Okay, great.
Huh?
Perfect, thank
so-
you. Does anybody have any liaison reports?
I don't.
Chatham Education? Oh, could you turn on Susan's mic?
Thanks. Just an update from CEF. At the end of their fiscal year, June 30th, they awarded $108,678 in grants for the 2021-22 school year, which is the highest amount in the past several years. And last week, its executive committee approved a grant in the amount of $300 to provide a registered dietitian for the pilot course, which is going to be offered, called Engineering Happiness, which is going to be starting this fall. And CF is really proud to support this effort, and stay tuned for other innovative programs that they're going to be supporting this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan.
Yep.
Any other items from the community? Mike, if you could just pass the board's appreciation to the chiefs for, doing the hiring process. I know it's slim pickings out there for them as well, because it's just a narrow pool, and I know they've worked really hard on our behalf. So if you can pass our appreciation along, that would be, we'd appreciate that. Any other questions or any items, community liaison? Nope, very good. Peter, we're going to move these minutes separately, so we'll do July 11th, public session first. Do you mind telling me who needs to abstain?
Just Ms. Clark.
Just Ms. Clark. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to move the minutes of July 11th, public session.
Second.
And second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Duly noted, minutes past 7:01, Ms. Clark abstaining.
Same, July 15th,
Ms. Ciccarelli, Ms. Clark, Mr. Del Sandro, and Ms. Kenny.
do we have enough left?
1, 2, 3, 4, yes. This will be a 4-0, so you'll work.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to move the minutes of the July 15th public session. Anybody that was around, could you second it?
Second.
There we go, Susan. All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions?
Abstain.
Duly noted, passes 4-0-4 with abstentions by Ms. Ciccarelli, Ms. Clark, Mr. Del Sandro, and Ms. Kenny.
Excellent, very good. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there with us. We have our first opportunity for public commentary. Hearing of the citizens during the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. We're going to try around 3.5 minutes. That's generally enough to get a good idea out. So if you wouldn't mind, the microphone is on your right, my left side of the auditorium. I'm going to keep talking until somebody gets up. No? No interest? No takers? Okay. There's another opportunity at the end if something, if you do get up, introduce yourself, and then we could take it from there. There's another opportunity at the end of the meeting if nobody's interested. Okay, that's as much of a filibuster as I can do in stalling for time. Okay, so we're going to close the first public commentary, and again, there's one at the end. We're going to move over to action items. Ms. Ciccarelli, we're going to start off with you in personnel. And just a reminder, these minutes are posted on the Friday before, so if it appears that we go through them rather quickly as we've been looking at them already, or there are items we talk about in committee, and now they grow up to become agenda items. So Ann, I apologize. I interrupted again. Take it away.
I'd like to move action items A1 to A18 on the regular agenda, and then A3, 11, 16, and 19 through 29 on the addendum.
There's a 30, right, somewhere?
There is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and 30 on the addendum. Thank you. It's a lot.
Did you get a second yet?
I did not. Thank you.
Ms. Clark, second. We'll just take a minute if you want to look at the addendums. Again, we're going to put a plug in there for subs and paras, please. That's why we have so many at the end. And Beth, please thank your team for working so hard. I thought last year was going to be your hardest year, but it seems like this is cracking up to be equally difficult. So thank you and your team for working your 18-hour days to shake the trees. I notice you're moving the para and sub signs all around town in order to get, it's like the Where's Waldo. I see it now. It's by down on Main Street and by Castle Park right now. Is that the latest locations? Shop right, yep. So if you know anybody, please, students, college kids, nieces, nephews, people, in-laws, put them to work. Okay, excellent. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Items A1 through 18 on the addendum, 3, 11, 16, and 19 to 30. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes, with the abstention on A17.
okay. Dr. Zhang,
Yes.
and Ms. Weber.
Yes, except I'm going to abstain from A30.
Okay.
Yes, everybody
Motion passes for the most part, 8-0, with an abstention on A17 and A30.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Smith, we're going to send it over to you for Finance and Facilities.
Thank you. I would like to move action items B1 to B24 to a vote, and I wanted to highlight, in addition to the generous CEF Engineering Happiness Grant that Ms. Ross mentioned, we have a Chatham Performing Art Booster donation for $6,837 to pay for a number of instruments and music room equipment. And we also have a number of New Jersey State Department of Education awards on the agenda.
I'll second.
Perfect, thank you, Bradley. Any questions on any of those items? And thank you for the donations. No? Peter?
Sure, agenda items B1 through B24. Ms. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Zhang,
Yes.
and Ms. Weber.
Yes,
Agenda items passed 8-0.
excellent, very good. Thank you. Curriculum?
I'd like to move curriculum, is there a question? Oh,
No, no, sorry.
C1 through 13 on the regular agenda.
I'll second it.
Any questions for Michelle or Dr. Donahue on any of those items? No? Peter?
Sure, agenda items C1 through C13. Ms. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro,
Yes.
Ms. Kenny,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Zhang,
Yes.
and Ms. Weber.
Yes,
Agenda items pass 8-0.
fantastic, thank you. Mr. Smith, Mr. Ryan indicated there was no additional policy. Did you have any audibles that you wanted to?
There are no audibles.
No
Nothing on
audibles.
policy.
Excellent, perfect. Is there anything we want to assign to Mr. Ryan in his absence? He'll get me back for that. Excellent, okay. Any additional board business that anybody would like to cover? Looking forward to a Thursday, a smooth start, knock wood, everybody knock wood. Any items any folks want to bring up? Susan, did you bring your own cables to the meeting?
Yeah, I don't know what these are, but
Okay.
they're waiting.
Just in case. Excellent. Way to be prepared. No other items for board business. Excellent. Okay, we have our second opportunity for public commentary. Again, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and letting us know what you'd like to share. No shares? Not yet. Christmas is almost here. JC's, he'll be back.
Must be low on highlights that affect the district.
That's right. Okay, very good. Well, we don't have anything. We do have we wish everybody a great start of the school year on Thursday. The teachers have already started. We thank them profusely again. So we do have an executive session, so if everybody could just stick around for a few minutes, it'll be fairly quick.
Executive session after all.
Oh, excellent. Well, that
Yep.
was efficient.
We anticipated needing one, but a couple of the items on the addendum were what we would have discussed, and so we're all squared away.
Work themselves out. Excellent.
Yep.
Even better. Love that. Fantastic. Then we're all going to break. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations and good luck to a great school year.
Have a great year, everybody.
Drive safely. Thank you.